Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Cyrus Webb Presents. I'm your host, Cyrus Webb. So glad you guys could be with us today. For those tuning in on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, X, we're going to welcome in those tuning in on Instagram as well. And we're going to connect with our friends over on Amazon Live too. Have a returning guest. I'm sure she looks very familiar to you. You also see her on Mondays here for Word That Choose to Live By. We're excited to welcome back Tina Siemens to our broadcast today. And we are now live on Amazon Live for Cyrus Webb Presents. So glad you guys can join us on the Amazon platform. If you guys are new to us on Amazon, welcome. Make sure you guys do hit that follow button. You see it either here in this corner or down below. You also will see the books by our next guest. We're excited to welcome back best-selling author and historian Tina Siemens to our broadcast today. Tina is the author of 3 books that are currently out, that being Seminole, Some People Never Give Up, The Little Sinners That Could, and her latest book is called Post Oak. You guys can see it there. We have them all in the carousel for you guys. But Tina also is the owner of a museum that's been getting a lot of attention and buzz in Texas. We're going to talk to her about her own love of history, what it's been like for her to share that history, and of course, let you guys know how to stay connected with all the great things she's doing. Tina, welcome back to the broadcast.
Thank you for having me. It's always an honor to share with you on your platforms and just the love of history. It
Yeah.
keeps us connected.
Well, Tina, I have to say, things have been moving very quickly for you, and I could not be happier. Dr. Norma, hello to you over there on IG. Good to see you. You have been so busy, and I love it. I want to talk about this because I tell people when you're doing what you love, it does not feel like work.
That's right.
You have been so busy in sharing your love of history and your love of people, I might add, with others. What has it been like for you to see the rewards coming from that?
It is very rewarding to see somebody either message you or come to the museum or just say, could you send me a copy? I've heard great things about your books. Or they just give me a review via text. It is such a reward to know that your work is enjoyed by others, and that's why we do things the way we do them, because we want others to benefit from what we enjoy in life.
That's exactly right. But Tina, your path is one that's interesting, and I can relate to it because I think about my own path coming here from Mississippi with no one around me that was an author or involved in the things that I do. But it didn't stop me from pursuing it and finding my path. What has that been like for you to see the way your family has responded to you're not only being an author 3 times, but also starting a museum and doing all you're doing and educating others?
The family has been so supportive. I have had such an amazing support group in my own family and in my in-laws. And so for me to have them over, like I've got that big extra room that is going to be turned into a gift shop by June at the museum. But we would if I have a family gathering that needs a bigger table, that's where we would gather. And it always gives me the opportunity to share. And so often it is your own family that may not know as many details as others
Mhm.
because they are around you. They know your history. They know but for me to be able to share with my immediate family and extended family in the community, there's no greater joy than for me to teach them a tidbit of our own history that they never heard about before. And it enriches my life as well as theirs.
So true. So Tina, take us back then, because you have, of course, been able to chronicle. Hello to you, Sharon Tail. Good to be able to see you, Sharon Tail. We have to get together soon. I'm going to highlight your book, Seminole, Some People Never Give Up, Tina, for audience joining us on Amazon, because that is the book that connected you and myself. But also, a lot of people got to find you through that book. You chronicle your own family's history. When did your own appreciation for history, when did that start?
I've looked back and reflected, and I think my very first encounter about me asking my grandma about a set of chairs that she had was at age 5. So I think that is where my love of history began already, because I was remarking about those chairs, and she was sick, and to a 5-year-old, it just seemed like grandma wasn't going to be with us. She was lying in bed, and I was able to bring her a little snack. And that's when I asked her, Grandma, are you going to die? And if you are, can those 2 chairs be mine? Like that was like, I remember asking her that. And
Yeah.
of course, she lived till I was married and had my own children, which was such an amazing, because I was named after her.
Hmm.
And so for me to have had that time together many times where I sat with her, and no, I did not receive those chairs, but I got her one-on-one time, and I gleaned so much wisdom from being together with my grandma. So, but that is my first memory as a child loving history.
Mm. And when did you know that you wanted to chronicle it in a book, Tina? Because again, and I hope our audience realizes this. I'm realizing it more and more that all of us have a unique history that needs to be preserved for others. Not only, of course, talking about just in a book, but just so other members of the family can have it. But I think also to have that appreciation. When did that start for you, Tina? That you said, you know what, this is something I want to write down.
I was always journaling as a teenager. I kept a journal because my mom kept a journal. So I mimicked her. But for 20 years, in 2019 is when I launched Seminole. But 20 years prior to that is when I started really researching where does my family's history begin. And I always say timelines are what speaks to me. But in a timeline, there's a beginning date, and then there's a continuous through an end date, and sometimes it continues even today. But when I started researching my family, where do we come from? What did my family go through? That's when I started gathering books and just acquiring articles that had previously been written. And so about 5 years prior to that, I just started writing what I thought would be a dialogue for my children and future grandchildren. Um, and that is what became the book Seminole. Some people never give up. I had friends tell me, this looks like chapters, this looks like a book.
Mm,
Until that point, I hadn't even thought about becoming an author, but
yeah,
I was encouraged to do that. And now I'm so grateful. Not only is it for my family and future generations, but for the world to read of
yeah.
how I was able to discover my family's history.
Exactly. Sharon Tell says, "Love this, beautiful, so true." Brown Book series, hello to you. Good to see you as well. And you've been able to inspire other people. I mentioned Dr. Norma's joining us over there on IG. We the two of us got to meet Dr. Norma together for the first time. I got to meet you for the first time while we were in North Carolina, where your second book, The Little Santa That Could,
Yeah.
received an award there. What has that been like for you, not only to have had 3 books published, Tina, but also to have people recognizing the value of those books and winning awards and also telling others about them?
Well, for me personally, what an honor. But to think of others that if they have the desire to record their family's history, or be somebody that your journals might be the beginning of a book. If you desire to preserve history and it is in a book form, then it will be blessings to others. So for me to know, not only is it a keepsake for my own family, but it is an inspiration to others that if I could do it, then anybody can do it, because I did not grow up thinking when I grow up I'll be an author. Like that was the furthest thing from my mind. But here we are, and
Mm,
I could not have done it myself. There is people along the way that inspired, that helped, and that showed me how to do this. And then to be recognized, that was such an honor to be there in North Carolina, to meet y'all, and to have the little sandals that could. I say that you do it one step at a time. That is how I
yeah,
signed the little book, the little sandals that could.
yeah,
You have the opportunity to preserve, and it may be just a short little clip. It may be a 10 page, it may be 15 pages, but don't let the length or the severity of your story thinking it nobody wants to know. There
right,
is somebody in the world that would be inspired by what you write. And so I encourage you, get out and just write down your story, because somebody will be inspired by it.
right. Such a great point. For those that are just tuning in, welcome. You all are watching Cyrus Webb Presents. We're on Amazon Live, but we're simulcasting on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, X, and on Instagram. We have award-winning author and historian Tina Siemens joining us today. We're talking with her about her own success. Her latest book is called Post Oak. You guys can see it here. I'm going to highlight the newest one in the carousel. And this is another example, Tina, of something I think that's playing out right now in the world in 2025. Because two things can be true at the same time. One, that history is important. Secondly, that history is not always pretty. Post Oak is a great example of that. Talk to us about what it was like for you chronicling the history in Post Oak, and what it was like for you even through the dark moments in history to be able to still find some light there.
This was such a difficult manuscript to write because there is so many different versions of history that has been written, and depending on the author, some authors they choose not to write the real stories of how it happened. But it's so important to not glaze over the hardships. The lessons that can be learned and gleaned from the hardships in history are so many. And so when I started gathering and going through archives, visiting the physical places where this story took place, I realized that it was a dark chapter in our history. And there's many in world history, in the United States history, and in Texas history. All of these places have dark chapters, but that doesn't mean that we can put that under the rug and not ever talk about. Because if we do, that shows us the perseverance and the methods that they were able to survive. And because our ancestors lived these hard times, now we can glean, this generation, future generations can glean from how did they do it? What had to happen in order for them to survive? And Post Oak is one of those that has some very, very sad and very vivid sagas of what history looked like. And I battled as I was writing. I threw away, I think I redid this manuscript a dozen or more times, because there was just so much graphic in our history. But in the end, I prayed through it, and then I got peace. And with what is in Post Oak is now my message to the world of, it may not look like it should be on pages, but it was real history. And that is what matters, to preserve history the way it was. And everyone can make their own choice on whether they want to glean from it, or if they want to just say, no, that's not part of me. I would understand both. But I encourage people, just because it's hard does not mean that it shouldn't be repeated.
Right. And Tina, this brings up the reason why I say this book is so timely, because we're living in a time where, history is not always appreciated. But I think as someone in school, I loved history. That was one of the things that I looked forward to, because for one, I love learning, period. So to be able to learn about things I didn't know that happened before I was born was interesting. But even today, here you are in 2025, you're creating your own history. You own a museum. You have people coming from all over visiting the museum. You're able to share with them different skills. You're able to share education. How does it feel to know, Tina, that you're creating your own history by the work you're doing with your books in the museum?
Well, I'm just doing my purpose, and I'm doing it on purpose. And so for us to learn what your niche is, what is your contribution to the world, because we were born for a purpose. Every human being has that. But it just took me a little longer to find out and achieve that goal on how I can share. But now it's there. It's through my books. It's through the museum. It's one story at a time that I can relate to somebody else. And if they learn something, then I feel like my purpose has been fulfilled, because I'm passing on the baton to anybody that listens or reads one of my stories. And that's the whole purpose of why I was born.
Yeah.
And I enjoy every part of the journey.
Yeah. So I want to talk about, I'm going to get the name right again, the West Texas Living Heritage Museum.
Yay, yes.
You guys don't know. I have been changing the name of Tina's museum almost every time we talk. But I said, Cyrus, you have to remember, living heritage. I keep wanting to say
Yeah.
living history.
Yeah.
I see the initials and I keep wanting to say living history. But the Living Heritage Museum, talk to us
Yeah.
about how it started, because this is a great story, how it started and what it's been like for you to see the people you've been able to welcome there. And also that's going to tie into what you're going to be doing, Tina, with the gift shop.
Well, I wanted a museum for 20 years. Like that was just part of what I thought I had to have to tell the history of my family and of because I love antiques, I love genealogy, and I love family history. I love all history. So what better way than to open that up but for 20 years I was waiting for that perfect building.
Mm-hmm.
And it didn't come. And one day I just was in prayer, Lord, let me find that building if I can open it in 2023. And while I was in prayer, the building that it's now at was me and my husband had moved out of it. It was a West Texas barn dominion. And so it's a metal building, but then furred out as a living quarters.
Mm-hmm.
And it was about 6,000 square feet. And I thought, well, why not? So I went and I asked my husband, what is your thought? I just had this thought come to me in prayer. What is your thought? And he said, go for it. It's an empty building. And by June of 2023, we had the grand opening of the West Texas Living Heritage Museum. But how I came to go about the naming of it was I was very intentional about having the word living in it, because not only do I want people to come through the door looking at some antiques, which I have, but that's not the main reason. The main purpose for the West Texas Living Heritage Museum is to teach the living today's generations, whether it is school children or whether it's senior citizens. This afternoon, I will have a group of 10 to 12 senior citizens come through visiting the museum. June 3rd, we'll start the weekly farmers market. And with those farmers markets, we will have every other week we'll have an adult class, and every other week we'll have a children's class, like teaching them what history was, how to get a mason jar, fill it with heavy whipping cream, and make your own butter, or beekeeping, gardening, anything that our ancestors did as a norm. But all of these things are lost because we now have the big grocery stores that the farmers sell to the distributors, and we then just go. So children don't know where vegetables come from. People don't know that a peanut grows. They think that it grows on a tree, but no, these type of educational things is the living part of the museum's purpose. So I'm just grateful for the opportunity to teach living history.
Love that. Jay Marlowe writes, hello to you over there on IG. Good to see you as well. If you guys have any questions or comments for Tina, make sure you guys put those in the chat there, either on Amazon or on social. We're about to also let you guys know how to stay connected with her. Last thing I want to talk to you about, Tina, is that another thing, um, I've been encouraging you along the way in trying new things. And I love the fact to see you not only being able to be out here discussing your book, but also doing speaking engagements. Talk to us about that. Tina Siemens, the speaker. What has that been like for you to embrace?
Well, if it wasn't for Cyrus Webb, I would still be in the box. But I, through your gentle but persistent, you can do this encouragement. Some friends might say you're pushing, but some people need that little push in the right direction.
Yeah.
And thank you, because that has allowed me. Yesterday, we had our weekly words I choose to live by. And after I got off, I just thought, man, I would have never thought that I, as Tina Siemens, or as a younger child before I got married, would be doing things like this, and to now have the opportunities to share it with the world. Like
Yeah.
anybody from around the globe could be logging on to this moment
Yeah.
and hearing us. And
Yeah.
so that is just a mindset of, wow, what an opportunity. And for me to be able to seize it, to have somebody that's walked the pathway before, teaching me, helping me, that is what we are as human beings are supposed to do. And when that is happening, what a beautiful reward. So thank you for the push. I love speaking. Anybody locally knows that I can speak for hours, but it's a different ball game when you are on the screen. But
Yeah.
I'm enjoying the process.
Well, good. And you're so good at it too. It's been great having you as one of our co-hosts for Words I Choose to Live By. You guys can catch it here on Amazon on Mondays. Our season finale is coming up the end of this month, but it's been great. We will be, everyone has agreed to come back for the next season, the end of this year. So we're looking forward to that. So Tina, what you mentioned one thing I definitely want you to let our audience know about. You mentioned the anniversary, the second anniversary of the museum is coming up, but let our audience know also how they can stay connected with you.
Well, yes, June 17th will be our second anniversary of the opening of the museum, and we are going to have a week-long celebration. So if you're in the area, please come and join us. We'll have the farmers market and different presenters, but I am also going to open up the gift shop. So we'll have some amazing homesteading supplies and tools, but also some history. So come and join us at the West Texas Living Heritage Museum here in Seminole, Texas. You can stay connected with me on social media as Tina Siemens. I'm on Amazon, Instagram, and some of the other platforms not as active, but get in touch with me at seminolethebook.com.
There we go. Tina, another great conversation with you. Congratulations on what's been a very busy 2025 and looking forward to our next chat together.
Sounds great. Thanks again for having me, Cyrus.
Always a pleasure. And we thank your audience for tuning in to another great segment of Cyrus Webb Presents. Until next time, you all make it a great one. We'll talk to you soon. Take care.